What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to be on the test server here. So thank you, player, for allowing us access to the test server. And we will be focusing on the upcoming fusion, the Skorid Halfspawn from the Demon Spawn. And he is going to be available, well, the fusion will be available in 2 days from the upload of this video. So let's jump into the index here. We'll do a quick recap of his skills from the Demon Spawns here. Skorid Halfspawn. Looks like he's from Diablo. Definitely don't care for another Demon Spawn champion, but it is what it is. It's probably just easier for them aesthetically to make like demons and stuff like that, as opposed to like, you know, Ogre tribes or Lizardmen or whatever. But anyways, we have Skorid here. His base stats are listed here. The thing that's of note is that he does have the increase of 63% crit damage, which is really good. And his attack is worth noting that it is probably average, maybe slightly below average for a, you know, prime time nuker or anything like that. So maybe it's to temper his other abilities to make them not hit so hard, or maybe his multipliers are really high. We don't know, but his base stats for his attack not super impressive. Let's jump into his kit real quick here, just for a refresher. His A1 has a 60% fully booked chance to debuff spread, taking Hex, prioritizing Hex, and if Hex not on, they'll spread another random debuff to the enemy team. His A2, 4 turn down to 3 turn. First, he increase attacks himself with the buff, and then he will attack one enemy and repeat that attack to all enemies with the Hex debuff. Will ignore shields against targets under Hex as well. This potentially could be really, really strong. And of course, it's going to be single target attacks, so it does bypass the Hydra Almighty passive, where they take less damage from the AoE attacks. Coming up next, his A3 AoE damage. He places the Hex before attacking, which is really good. And it's really good that's a Hex. It's a place because it can bypass Poison Cloud. It doesn't fall to weak hits. And of course, placing Hex before attacking means he deals more damage. So he also has a condition here that if the enemy is under Hex, he increases his skill by 20% for each Hex debuff placed. That's a nice chunk of damage there. Any Hex that is resisted or blocked, he also gets a little bit of a heal, which is not too bad as well. 3 turn cooldown after books, 20% damage on all his abilities from books as well. Nothing insane, kind of average for the damage boost from books. 10 books in total for him, not too expensive. Passive here fills his turn meter by 10% when attacking targets without Hex, so he's going to speed up himself. And then he has a little bit of extra damage here from the 15% ignore defense when they are under Hex. So he definitely benefits quite a lot from having champions under Hex, and it's really nice to see that he can place Hex himself. Bad thing is he needs accuracy to do this, which you don't really want to give your damage dealers. You want them to do damage, not place debuffs. So for him, he's probably going to be like a mix of debuff plus damage dealer. Nice to see that he starts off with 10 accuracy, so that's going to help you guys out a little bit. He is magic based, which is fine, I guess. And yeah, he is attack based, so all his skill scale off of attack. He is mostly probably going to be used in Hydra because Hex is more relevant there. Also, placing a bunch of Hexes on an arena team, for example, will probably lead to you getting sheep before you doing any damage, which is probably not a good thing. So we can see this guy most likely in Hydra. Let's jump into Hydra and see what we can do with him there. All right, so we are on the hard difficulty Hydra here. We have 2 epic champions, Shamail and the people's champion, Ugo, decreased defense and block buffs. Very, very important. Shamail here to counter the Head of Torment. He's probably the easiest, most effective way to counter the Head of Torment, especially for an epic champion. Molly Tankard here is basically for a auto-friendly AoE provoke. Also brings back up a revive just in case something happens to your team. Also has a little bit of a turn meter boost as well. The Ostrich here for the increase of speed, decrease speed, weaken, small turn meter boost, and small heal as well. Very, very good champion. And then we have Skorid here, and I wanted to bring him in against a champion that maybe had some comparable damage to him. Also wanted it to be attack based, so they both have benefits from the increased attack. So I'm bringing Razovarg here as the speed or lead, as well as a small damage comparison against our Skorid. The big thing I wanted to test here is whether he's going to be effective with books and without books. So I actually haven't booked my Skorid here. So we're going to run him without Skorid. Obviously, I don't recommend running your damage dealers without full damage. But since he is a debuffer too, and his skills don't really require any books for his hex abilities to land, I want to see how effective he is with just basically being a unbooked solo hexer in this team. He's the only hex champion on this team. We don't have any curse sets or anything like that. I took off the curse sets from my champions. So he's the only hex champion. So let's see how he does in this team. Unbooked. So he won't be at full damage potential. So let's see how he does. I'm going to slow down here for some of the action against the heads. We're going to go increase speed here and then decrease speed and weaken from the Skorid. Reservoir here with the AoE attacks. Increase accuracy. Here's the decreased defense and block buffs. Molly is not going to be any use right now because we don't have the Head of Decay on the field. All right, so let's place the Hex first since we already have the increased attack with the Skorid buff. So let's go with the Hex first. The place, so it's just going to land on everybody, and it does. Pretty good attack here. I'm seeing about 250,000 per hit. So about a 1 million hit AoE, which is actually not too bad. And then we can compare it against Razovarg here. Razovarg's doing about half that damage. He's doing 140 against this Wrathhead when he was doing about 240. Not quite half, but significantly less. Razovarg doesn't have like impressive, insane multipliers or anything like that. So it's not a direct one-to-one comparison, but he does get a little bit more hits in because he does gain increased speed and all that stuff from his passive. So we'll see how it compares after a little bit, a couple of turns. Really want to get some attacks in against the decapitated heads, see how much damage they can actually really do. We'll have to manual a little bit here. Alright, so here we got Skorid. Single target hit, places the increased attack on himself, and then he will repeat that attack to all enemies under Hex. So far, the whole enemy team is under Hex damage. So let's attack this Head of Wrath and see how much damage it deals across the board here. So 190, and then we see 170, 170, 170. So it literally just repeats the attack. It looks like it literally just repeats the attacks. But yeah, like not too crazy, right? Like we're seeing like, you know, 350, like maybe 700k AoE damage. So maybe similar to Razovarg here. Yeah, Razovarg's doing about 100, 130, 170. So similar to Razovarg's AoE. But the A3 from Skorid definitely deals a lot of damage. Definitely deals a lot more damage than the A2 for sure. Uh-oh. This might be bad here. Oh my lord, that was bad. Okay, that was pretty bad. Okay, let's heal. Damn, that was pretty bad. Oh no, we got our stuff stolen too. Okay, guess we need decreased attack, I guess. We need to kill this poison head ASAP. Okay, come on. Let's right the ship here. Before we this guy gets another turn. Oh my goodness. Good thing we have the Molly revive, I guess. But yeah, pretty squishy team here. We don't have like decreased attack or strengthen or increased defense or anything like that. So not the most craziest team. There we go. All right. Let's kill this Head of Decay, and then we can get some more time with these decapitated heads. Okay, so we got AoE Hex. Let's drop the AoE Hex here and then start checking out our damage against decapitated heads. Only one of them has a decreased defense here and weaken, so let's see how that does. Places the Hex first. Boom, 1 million damage hit against this head. Actually kind of significant. Especially considering he's not fully booked, guys. He's not fully booked. Dropping 1 million on this one head And then he's obviously doing a bunch of other damage here against the other heads. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. All right, let's set up there. Let's get the decrease speed and weaken out. Hopefully we can get the decreased defense from the Ugo back. All right, we got the increased attack, single target hit. Okay, let's test the single target hit here. Pull it down. 680, 400. 680 and then 400 to this one. So only one of them had Hex on. So not the ideal setup there for him. Okay, not everyone got decreased defense there. Oh, sorry. Hit the wrong head. All right, so Razzlebar is doing 500 there, 800 here. So keep in mind that Skorid's A3 was doing about 1 million. So definitely doing a lot more. And then let's test this A1. 768. Pretty strong A1. Pretty strong A1 there. Shamail is A3. Shamail's not built with like full damage or anything, but he's doing about 700 or so with his A3. But yeah, Skorid's definitely doing the bulk of the damage here. Razzlevarg's doing about 850 with his A1. Pretty good numbers. But yeah, overall, Skorid's definitely carrying in terms of overall damage. Debuff spread. Debuff spread. There you go. Decreased speed with spread. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice, actually. I'm pleasantly surprised. I will say I'm pleasantly surprised. Yeah. Pleasantly surprised. And he places the Hex, which is really nice. And keep in mind, guys, he's not even booked in this demonstration. He's not booked. And he's keeping up the Hex fairly fine. Fairly fine. We have a good team. It's a good enough team, right? It's a well synergized team. But he's doing fine here without books. Not doing a lot of damage there. They're protected by the respawn buffs. But I think we've probably seen enough here. So let's end the screen and battle here. Let's see how well the damage breakdown is. We got Razzlevar here at 11 mil. Skorid here at 11 as well. Actually, very close. That's interesting to see. And then the rest of the crew not really doing much. Shamail doing a little bit more. But the rest of the crew, we got basically War Master. Yastra is geared in full crit rate, but she has low attack and low crit damage. Molly has no War Master. Shamail he's crit capped with some crit damage, but he's not. He doesn't have ignore defense. So Skorid actually and Razzlevar kind of close actually. So not the runaway winner that I thought he would be. But yeah, let's book him out and see what he can do after books. Before we do that, let's talk about this run that I did with him in his unbooked version. So I did run this identical team full auto, so the damage damage dealt per turn is not like insane or anything. But we can see here Razzlevar and Skorid basically did pretty similar amounts of damage. Razzlevar 135 million, Skorid 150 million. Skorid's damage mostly going to come, a lot of it's going to come from the Hex debuff that he places as well. So he's the solo Hex champion here. So he'll benefit fully from the Hex debuff damage. Also did another run here with Varl as the comparison. So this is again on hard difficulty. In this case, Yostrid and Ugo were both running curse sets, so they're taking away a little bit of damage from the Skorid. So if you basically took away maybe 30 million from Ugo and maybe 20 million from Yostrid, that's about 50 million more that you add to Skorid. So Skorid with the Hex damage probably keeps up with Varl here, maybe slightly more. But it's really nice to see that his damage output is actually pretty significant. So 167 with a little bit of hex damage mixed in, as well as his own, obviously his own damage. But you have Varro here, which is like a very insane damage dealing champion. This is full auto as well, so I never intervene. But pretty decent outcome for this team, and Skorid doing pretty good in this team as well. All right, so let's fully book out our Skorid here, and then we'll test him with his full damage potential. Now he's fully booked. Can't go back now. So fully booked out, he gets a bit extra damage, bit extra percentage chance to debuff spread. Cooldown here is going to be huge. Cooldown here is going to be huge. So let's test him out in the same team, and then we'll let's do a full damage run, and then we'll see how it shakes out comparatively to the non-booked version. All right, guys, let's pick up the action here at turn 97, just before turn 100. We are just about clearing 175 million here. It's full auto. So I'm just letting this run. We're probably not going to finish this run here, but then we can at least see the damage comparison between a fully booked Skorid versus the Razovarg. So we have some pretty good, we have two data sets showing that Skorid and Razovarg in this team, or at least my Razovarg, are similar damage outputs. This is before booking. So after booking, we can actually compare how the difference is. So let's shut this down here. Let's recall what the previous was doing. So this was the number that Razovarg and Skorid were doing before books. So you see here, Skorid is doing 150, basically about 10% more than Razovarg. So now we can compare what a fully booked Skorid versus Razovarg would do. So let's shut it down here in battle. And we have Razovarg doing 54 million. So if you add 10% to 54 million, that's about 60 million. So with books, Skorid is doing 80 million. I mean, that is like, we're looking at about a 50% increase over Razovarg. So previously, without books, Skorid was doing about 10% increase over Razovarg. And in this run, he's doing 50% more damage with the help of books. So books obviously give him additional damage plus additional cooldown reduction. So he is definitely pumping tons of damage here. Again, he is the sole provider of Hex for this entire team, so he is benefiting from all that Hex damage as well. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed at this guy's ability to maintain the Hex. So for example, he can place the hexes. If hexes, fall off heads that are decapitated and so forth, he has the A1 with a chance to spread the hex, for example. So he has two mechanics to kind of bring the hex back into the fold. I think it's consistent enough that he should be, perfectly fine as a solo hex champion, especially for more mid-game accounts, maybe accounts that don't have hex gear, for example. But anyways, let's quickly jump over the gearing for these champions, and then we can do some more analysis there. All right, guys, so this is my Skorid, the Halfspawn. We have him built in a 6-piece Merciless set. So with Merciless, you are benefiting from the plus ignore defense here. When he is fighting against Hex champions, he does get extra 15% ignore defense. So he has a full 50% ignore defense against Hex champions. And then, of course, he's running Helm Smasher for an additional 25% ignore defense. Obviously, chance to ignore. So yeah, so these are the masteries for him. I went with Lasting Gifts, so you get some increased duration on his attack up, and then Master Hexer for increased duration on his Hex debuff. Psycho Magic for some more AoEs. A little bit of accuracy to help with the stats. These are his total stats here. A little bit strong. This is some of my better Hex, some of my better Merciless gear. He does have a little bit of accuracy to land his stuff. Keep in mind that with Merciless gear, you do have a little bit extra crit damage, of course. It's a damage-based set. I am running a crit damage 2-piece set as well. Quickly go over the gear here for you guys, if you guys are interested in having a look. Obviously, this is some of my better gear I have them in for the showcase. Yeah. So that's my Skorig. Definitely doing some pretty good damage there. And he is fully booked. If you were to pick a blessing for him, I would pick Nature's Wrath. He does land debuffs pretty consistently with the Hex. So he'll ramp up the Nature's Wrath very quickly. At 6-star, you might consider Crushing Ren, for example, because you get all that extra ignore damage. And yeah, so that would be my suggestions for Skorig. Let's compare him to the Razovarg that we were using. So Razovarg does have a blessing here with the Phantom Touch, so he does gain a little bit extra damage from Phantom Touch. He is in a Savage and a 2-piece crit damage. This is not going to be as strong as a build as a 6-piece Merciless set, because Merciless does have the cooldown reduction on the skills, so he gets more of the skills back. And he has more crit damage, similar attack. So Razovarg is basically hitting with weaker stats, but he's going to be hitting more often because he gains the he has the passive, which boosts his speed plus 100. So that's going to be the strength of Razovarg. But Razovarg definitely no slouch in the damage department as well. For him, I have Giant Slayer, so it was a different kind of build. But for him, Giant Slayer here. And yeah, so that's Razovarg here. After that, I was running, what is it, Molly. Molly is in regen. I recommend regen for Molly because she can't really heal herself. Even if you give her something like War Master plus like Leech, she can't really heal herself that often. But I like to give her a healing set. She does have resistance to tank the Head of Mischief. Accuracy, not super fast or anything, but she works pretty good. After that, I was running Ugo. So the first Ugo here is in Relentless. Relentless is fine for Ugo, just so she gets some extra AoEs back. Cruelty would be my suggestion for her, so she can help decrease the defense on the heads. Masteries would be War Master. For Ugo specifically, make sure you have Sniper for the extra 5%. She has something weird going on with her skill. Basically, like for her block buffs ability, you only get 5% increase for each alive champion. So when she is fully booked, she has against 4 enemies only 95% chance to land block buffs. So make sure you give her the last 5% from Sniper. That's very important. After that, we were running Shamail. We were running the 1 Shamail, which is the Provoke. So it's a little bit extra help for Molly just in case the Head of Decay gets out of control. We do have a Shamail here. He has a little bit of damage, not particularly super well built or anything like that. He has 60k HP, but still drops dead first. It's freaking amazing. Phantom Touch for some additional damage. Lastly, I think we were running Eostrid in Provoke as well. Again, just making sure that super auto friendly. She was initially running Hex, so I did run her, took her out of Hex just to test Skorig capability with the Hex. So I just put it in Provoke just to help out Molly, but Molly definitely doesn't need that much help, mainly just to increase the auto friendliness of the whole run. And I did show Varl, so I'll compare the Varl, show the Varl build here, and then if you guys are interested in looking back at the Varl versus the Skorig, the comparison here. So this is my Varl. Kind of similar stats, a little bit less crit damage, way more attack. They do both need accuracy, so they're kind of very similar in terms of what kind of gear they are wearing. 6-piece Merciless here as well. Fully booked, Helm Smasher. Heaven Cast, I think for him, same thing. I would probably change Heaven Cast to Nature's Wrath, just because he does place the weaken, and he does ramp, get that out, get those ramped up pretty quick. So for him, it's fine. But yeah, similar gear here. They were doing a little bit similar numbers. Varl was obviously maybe like 20% better, and obviously Skorig wasn't the sole Hex champion. So if he was a sole Hex champion, they would probably be closer to equal. But Varl definitely just a massive damage dealer on his own. All right, so to wrap up the video, what do you guys think about this champion? Personally, I think I am pleasantly surprised by this champion. I did not think that he would be able to handle the duties of being a full-time Hex champion for your team, but I think he impressed me enough that he can probably do it by himself. I mean, you definitely don't need another champion to have it, but it's always nice to have it. Overall, I think he's a good champion. I think he works pretty well. He's a decent damage dealer. He's not insane. He's not going to be like insane top tier damage dealer for anybody. He doesn't have anything seemingly busted about him so far. His A2 does seem very weak. His A2 seems very weak. I don't know if that's due to something that is wrong or just really low multipliers because they expect this move to basically be another AoE. But it seems weird that this move is so weak compared to this move. This move is very good, very solid move. But yeah, his A2 seems very weak, which could be like, you know, something that's not right. We are on test servers, nothing's released, but it could be not right. Otherwise, I think for a Hex champion in his kit that can deal damage, I think he's one of the better ones. Like if you compare him to champions like, for example, let's look at all the Hex champions that we have available here in my stash at least. Where's my eyes? Are they working today? There it is. Okay, let's look at these champions here. So Mishnaki, obviously, this guy is going to be the top, right? He's going to be the top Hex, built-in Hex champion. He just brings so much debuffs. Obviously, his A1, his counterattack passive is just insane. But in terms of like Ruel, for example, Ruel has a 4-turn Hex. Where is his Hex? Places Hex. Yeah, so he has a 4-turn Hex, which is not as good as a 3-turn Hex. And then he deals some extra ignore damage if the enemies are under Hex. It's a double hit, but it doesn't seem as good as Skorid's A3, to be honest. It doesn't seem as good. And then we have Skorid, we have Thylesia. I mean, she's not going to be an insane damage dealer or anything. Mary Annex would be the other champion that is kind of considerable. She has a decreased defense and Hex on a 3-turn cooldown, which is kind of cool. It's like, you know, she combines 2 of the very important debuffs into one move. I guess she never really dealt damage that, you know, she never could deal the big damage, right? Like her attack is so low, she doesn't have the crit damage here. Yeah, she just wasn't very good. So she's mainly like a debuffer, but you can definitely use her for this. So everything else just not going to be on that level. So Skorid, as a champion with built-in Hex, he's pretty solid as a damage dealer. So I definitely recommend that if you guys are have an account that can benefit from a champion like this, you probably are more of a mid-game account. You don't have super good damage dealers. You don't have, you know, super good curse sets, maybe limited on gear. This champion, you know, omits having the curse set, which is really good. And of course, he deals a little bit of damage as well. So I think he can definitely be useful. He's not garbage. He's not bad. He definitely can be good. And as I've shown in this video, he doesn't even need books to be good. That's the thing, because his Hex ability doesn't need books to boost the chances of the Hex landing. None of his skills really require books to land debuffs or anything like that. Obviously, reducing cooldowns is going to be a big, big thing, right? But we saw that even reducing the cooldowns wasn't so bad. You just kind of have to make him maybe a little bit faster. But you don't even need books for him to do some serious work. But if you give him books, we saw that his damage increased pretty significantly in the second run with Razovark. But yeah. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully I showed you guys a different angle on this champion. I think he's definitely a viable champion. Obviously for like mega end game accounts, he's not going to really move the needle for most people. But I think he's definitely serviceable for like mid game accounts. He functions as a damage dealer that offers you Hex. And it's nice. I mean, you don't necessarily need him, but he can be your Hex guy. Maybe bring a Hex curse set on another champion, and you're good to go. And then he can chip in with some damage as well. So definitely a serviceable champion. Booked or unbooked. Unbooked is very good too, especially for earlier accounts. So I don't know. I like it. I think he's good. I think the fusion will be a little bit challenging because obviously rares. It's going to be a traditional fusion going from rares into epics and then into this champion. But it is what it is. If you guys can pick him up, If you guys have the capabilities to get him, I think he's not bad. He's not bad. So anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was insightful and informative. But yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video.